All right, good afternoon. I would like to call to order the emergency meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Today is September 24th, 2024, and the time is 7:32. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, please be seated. Okay, I would like to recognize staff for an update on the tropical storm Helene and the state of local emergency resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to ask Mr. Ben Avis to present.
Commissioners, good afternoon. Benjamin Avis, Public Safety. Just a quick update based on the 2 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center on the tropical storm. The winds are currently at 45 miles per hour. It still remains just south of the western tip of Cuba. The forecast and the timing with the 2 o'clock update hasn't changed significantly. We're still expecting some coastal surge in the vicinity of 3 to 5 feet. A lot of that will be influenced by the tides as well. We are also expecting tropical storm force winds, as we've mentioned previously in some of our other updates. These winds will be different than Hurricane Debby, which was off of our coast. Hurricane Debby was primarily a wind event on the barrier islands. This is going to blanket much of the county with those tropical storm force winds. These impacts are expected Thursday, starting early morning between 4 and 8 a.m., and they will end likely in the mid to late afternoon. So we're looking at just a single day of impacts, thankfully, as the storm passes off to our west. The Emergency Operations Center, we expect will activate to a level 2 or partial activation tomorrow morning, and we'll be prepared to implement any emergency protective measures that are necessary in response to the forecast or any changes that may occur. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, any questions for staff at this time?
Yep, Mr. Chairman, may I?
Commissioner Hammond?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did we announce, or are we planning to announce at some point closure of government, Lee County
Yes,
government?
I have that.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At the conclusion of this meeting, it'll be announced.
Okay, very good.
Mr. Pendergrass?
Ben, as the storm progresses and hopefully it continues to go north and doesn't intensify, hopefully it weakens, if anything, for the whole country. But if it did increase and it changed paths for the next 24 to 48 hours, are we prepared to open the type of shelters for anybody, and what we have accommodations for that? We could tell people about that.
Yes, sir. So we've first of all, we've taken some steps today to have available to us the 2 safe havens that we've used during Hurricane Idalia last year. Those locations would be announced when those open potentially tomorrow. Those would be available for people who just need a safe place to go during the impacts of the storm. If we did have a significant change in the forecast and the storm were to impact our area and have greater impacts, say, for instance, that rose to the level of an actual evacuation, we had a call this morning with the school district to talk about using school buildings for shelters. Of course, we've got Alico Arena, several of our rec centers, as well as Hertz Arena. So a number of facilities that are open. We've taken the initial steps of starting to roster staff and be ready for what that might look like. And we'll continue to watch the forecast again. We hope with you that it stays on the same track that it does.
Right.
But if it doesn't, then we're prepared to take those next steps.
And my next final question, I guess, we see the Councilwoman Smith, our Mayor of Sanibel here today. Thank you for being here, Holly. And I know we're staying in interaction with the town of Florida Beach and Sanibel, all the Barrier Islands. So we had that line of communication with them. I know Sanibel's prepared for this. So as far as other areas, we're ready to obviously use people's judgment, low-lying areas, coastal, based upon storm surge, to take measures to protect your property, protect yourself too, correct?
Correct. I mean, there are people that live in areas that are prone to flooding. So it doesn't take a tropical storm or a hurricane. Even some of our severe summer rains can cause flooding on their properties. If you need a place to go, please activate your plan. Go to a friend or family member's home. If you can, get out of the area, please do. Get yourself to a place of safety. We'll continue to watch the forecast, and we'll open up any additional facilities as necessary tomorrow.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you.
Yeah.
if I may. In relation to the municipalities, we've had a number of conversations with the city managers. We spoke to them individually. today, and at 1 o'clock, we did a briefing, which included the school district, and we will have that same meeting until after the storm. So we will continue to have those conversations with the municipalities. When it comes to your guys', the Board of County Commissioners' direction of, flood prevention, our teams have been out today. As with every day, Natural Resources, DOT are checking the weirs and water levels and all the culverts and any potential obstructions of those water courses. So that's a continuing operation, and then it's been enhanced preceding the storm, just so you're aware.
Okay, thank you. We'll have further discussion. But at this time, I would like to go ahead and make a motion to authorize a local emergency resolution. Do I have a second? We have a second from Commissioner Sandelli. Further discussion at this time.
So
Or
that'd be,
call public comment.
so once we do this, that would be basically county manager and staff, EOC will be running the operations of the EOC, correct? For that, so unless we go back in a session for a special meeting like this, you'll be the director, basically chain of command overseeing this, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But we will keep you involved, as we always do, and have our regular weekly or daily updates with you, as well as the legislative delegation as well.
And thank you and your staff, because we all know we've been down this road before. When this does activate, and hopefully will not be needed, but if it is, your staff is there 24/7 prepared for this. We've been preparing for this all year, so we're ready for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hammond.
Thanks, Chairman. My primary concern with this storm, from the way the track looks right now, would be related to storm surge, just like Mr. Avis talked about. So with the prediction right now of potentially between like 3 to 5 feet of storm surge in some of our coastal areas, I don't believe, and it doesn't sound like our professional staff believes either, that we've met any of the requirements to do a mandatory evacuation in Lee County. I do notice that our neighbors to the north in Charlotte County have gone ahead and issued evacuation orders for their coastal areas. So I would love to just get some of the thoughts from our emergency management staff on what's different between us and Charlotte County and the track here that it's on. And then secondly, do we have anything that's not mandatory, but do we have voluntary? Is there a voluntary evacuation that we could put out some notice to kind of advise people? If you see flooding, typically when we see storm surge, maybe you want to start thinking about a voluntary evacuation?
Thank you,
Commissioner Hammond. Great point about, yeah, go ahead.
So a couple of questions there. I think the first thing is there are a couple of things that Charlotte County contended with during Hurricane Debby. And I know that they were leaning a little further forward because they had some coastal impacts that we didn't experience here. I've been in contact with their public safety director this afternoon as well to talk through kind of their rationale and our rationale, and I think we're pretty well in sync. We do not in our plans distinguish between a voluntary and a mandatory evacuation. Part of that goes back to just some historical confusion about, is an evacuation, was it voluntary? Is it mandatory? Do I have the choice? Do I really have to leave? When we call for an evacuation, we use the term evacuation, so that way everyone knows that it's time to go. And that's something that we can certainly look at it in future storms, but we don't have that. Now, what we have done in the past, and it's something that we can consider going into any announcements tomorrow, is the ability to say, we've said for low-lying areas, for mobile manufactured homes, for areas along the coast, if you're in an area that's prone to flooding, those individuals should seek shelter, voluntary, if you will. And that's something that, again, we can take under advisement from the board when we make those decisions tomorrow.
And I guess the other thing that I was thinking from a messaging standpoint, folks certainly don't, if they know that they're in an area that 3 to 5 feet of storm surge could potentially inundate their property, they should probably make their plans to leave that area and that residence right now. I mean, that's, they would have experience from even the tropical storm Debby when it came by and when it, passed just a few months ago. They would know kind of what to expect. And so, do you have any thoughts or any message for folks like that who see that typical kind of flooding?
So this is identical to the forecast that we had for Tropical Storm Debby. We would expect that those areas that traditionally flood will likely flood again. They are areas where, there may be some inundation to homes or potentially into homes. If you're in one of those areas, then we hope that you'll activate your plan and take the necessary steps to get you and your family someplace safe.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Avis. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Pendergast. We may hear this as public comment. I know some areas already doing the voluntary evacuations. I know Sables, I'm not sure if the current mayor, councilwoman is going to speak on that, but there's other areas doing that already, so the voluntary.
Commissioner Sindel.
Two things, one locally, the 28th is the 2-year anniversary of Ian. There is an event on Saturday, so I'm hoping this goes through quickly. Friday's a dry out day, and Saturday's, it's 8 o'clock at Santini Plaza down at Fort Myers Beach, which got decimated. It's back, it looks great. So we're hoping that all this plays out that way. The other question is, we've been the beneficiary of a lot of help from around the state. The storm looks like it's tracking north. Are there plans, with communicating with those teams up north? Are we prepared to lend assistance this time as well?
We're definitely prepared to do so once the storm moves to our northwest.
Okay.
I think like many counties in the Florida Peninsula, once the storm moves off to the north, there will be a lot of people that will be on the road to help our neighbors up in the Big Bend and the Panhandle that will eventually be impacted by the storm.
Thank you.
Yes.
Right. One of the other things, and Commissioner Pendergast, I'll get right to you, is one of the reasons that in our discussion this morning that I felt like it was important to kind of move forward now was simply because we could focus more on the storm instead of getting this part of the public business done, I guess the best way to say it. So I just want to make sure people understand why this is the right time, in my opinion, as the chairman, to do this, is because it's going to give us better time to be prepared. Commissioner Penny.
I know this morning, earlier in our press conference, we talked about our partners. Obviously, we have hundreds of partners in Lee County. We all work together in the community. But are we doing anything as far as the homeless transient population? We have elderly people in the parks living outdoors. If this does pass this far enough to the west, we won't have much wind and rain, but if we do get more wind and rain, we're expecting them. Have we talking to the Salvation Army, other partners, United Way, and different partners already about opening areas for them? I know they're already taking people in now, but what they can do to enlarge that for those people that usually don't seek shelter daily.
Sure, and I think that goes back to the efforts not only of emergency management, but also Human and Veteran Services and the work that they do year round. But that's another advantageous use of those safe havens to be able to get people just to some place, a place of safety for a brief period of time while the most severe impacts of the storm are passing through.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If it's okay at this time, I will open up for public comment, and I will give opportunity commissioners at the end to continue to discuss. Do we have anyone in the public would like to make comment at this time? Holly, if you want to come up and say a few words, absolutely. We're proud to have you here.
Well, thank you, commissioners, and Chair Greenwell, thank you for calling the meeting. In the past, Sanibel has called for a voluntary evacuation. Couldn't call for an emergency unless you do have shelters, and at this point, it's not prudent to do so. I will say that our city manager, Dana Souza, is in active communication with the county manager, and any decisions that will be made hand in hand for the betterment of our entire community. So thank you very much for having this meeting, and we're all going to just hope for the best, but as we always tell everyone, we need to prepare that something might be coming, but and God willing, it won't be. So thank you very much for your time.
Anyone else wish to speak with public comment at this time? Okay, seeing none, I will close public comment. Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Greenwell. I have a second from Commissioner Sandelli. Any further discussion from the board at this time? Mr. Hammond.
Mr. Chairman, just thinking the last thing we should mention, I know that we do not cancel schools. We're not the school board, but have we heard from them? I know we're about to announce that we're probably going to cancel government operations for Thursday. Have we heard from the school district what their plans are?
Mr. Horn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we have. We're in contact with them. I believe that call will come from the school district potentially tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
We're still in contact with them. I don't believe that call will be made today.
Okay.
Further discussion?
I just want to say, we see the sheriff's department here, the men and women in green are ready to serve. I've been talking to the command staff the last couple of days. They're ready, prepared for anything. So look at that. I also see Steve Hennigan's here from the airport, OSW. I'm not sure how the storm will affect our aircraft traffic this week, but hopefully we don't get too many delays out of it or not. So thank you, Steve, for your support.
Thank you, Commissioner Pendergrass, for recognizing them, and thank you all for being here. Further discussion? Okay, seeing no further discussion, you have a motion from Commissioner Greenwell, a second from Commissioner Commissioner Sandelli. Any objections? Seeing no objection, motion moves unanimously. I would like to take this time to announce the county operations will be closed Thursday, September 26th. As it stands, we will have regular operations tomorrow, September the 25th, and Friday, September the 27th. Do any further business in front of us at this time? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.